From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Eddie Huang, with Gina on news and Balt Bryan on sound effects. And now, he's done so much finished carpentry, they should call him Secretary of the Interior. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on. You mandate. You get it on now. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you. Right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian.
Here we go.
Eddie Huang, author. Listen to this. Author, chef, restaurateur, clothing designer, producer, attorney.
Oh, my God.
Writer, director.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's family would find something to like in his resume. I don't care what your background was.
Except maybe his. Except maybe his family.
Yes, maybe it's too many. All right, so we'll talk to Eddie about his upcoming movie and beyond as well. I have a Reasonable Doubt clip to play you guys in a little bit. Mark is going up against the Burbank City Council and Tin Horn Flats, and they're going after them because they had their...
Mark is not going after Tin Horn Flats. Sorry.
Sorry,
No,
Mark is going after the Burbank City Council, and they left their outdoor dining open, and that was a problem. It's interesting where now they say you can't do this thing. Turns out that thing is safe. Turns out there's no evidence that suggests it's unsafe, but you defied them, and that's really what we're going after now.
It's punitive. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we got that going for us. We got the city going after small businesses. That's just what we should have at this particular time. That's what we need the most, right?
Well,
What would you do?
Yeah.
What would you do if you were out of problems? If you'd solved
Yes.
everything?
So I'll play you that. It's very interesting. Also, I was watching CNN this morning, and they had a whole update on Tiger Woods, and
Sure.
my thing with a crash like that is the part where Tiger Woods is in surgery and his ankles and legs were busted up. That's not that interesting to me because that's just what happens in a car wreck. They love to do this, but I always think it's pretty self-serving. The surgeons always do this move where they go, "We thought initially we're going to have to amputate," which implying, but if I wasn't such a great surgeon,
Right.
X, Y, and Z. So
In the hands of another doctor,
right,
Sure.
he would have
lucky.
lost his leg.
right, and of course that sounds. Everyone runs with it because oh my God, could you imagine he was an amputee? But my feeling is he'd just go to the Paralympics and kick ass.
That's true.
I mean,
point.
they must have golf, and none of those guys can be as good as Tiger Woods.
He and Oscar Pistorius just roll up to the Paralympics and dominate.
So roll up. So now, so I'm looking at the story, and I get the first day. So when it breaks, they have a lot of footage, and the footage is helicopter footage, which is pretty tight on the wreck. And they're doing this thing where they go, rolled all the way down this embankment and settled here at the bottom. And this is the wreckage you see before you. And my first impulse is show me the embankment. I want to know this thing rolled down 25 feet or 150 feet. Pull out and show me the fucking street up there.
Yep.
It shall be dramatic if I see a busted guardrail 700 feet up the hill and I think, oh my God, this guy tumbled all the way down this hill. But they never pull out. They don't do. By the way, I'm number one at pulling out. That's my move. Perfected that in my late teens. But these guys can't pull out. So they keep showing the car. And the car is, busted up sufficiently, but it just looks like a car that's been in a bad car accident. Now widen out and show me the hillside it came down, but we get nothing. So I'm like, all right, well, literally it was on the fly with the helicopter and the footage, and somebody shot the footage from the helicopter, and who knows who shot it, but that's all they had. But then this morning I tune into CNN and I'm like, and they're like an update on the Tiger Woods situation. And the part where he's in the hospital and he's doing okay, that's good to know, but I got that part. Then they go to the guy live on the highway. And now I'm like, okay, good. Because he's up on the highway. He should be doing, I'm standing right where the car went off. You can see the skid marks or the busted foliage or the guardrail that's been destroyed. And then if you pan all the way down to the bottom of the hill, you'll see where the car came to a rest some 150 feet from it. So I'm going like, okay, now I'm going to get my busted guardrail tumble down the hill story. And not chock a block full of details. So they had the guy literally just standing on the street, and I'll play you the clip. I'll play the clip of it. I just filmed it off my TV set at home.
The side of the crash. What do you see there?
Well, I can tell you that traffic is moving normally here. I mean, in fact, if you couldn't really tell that there was an accident here yesterday, a severe accident. But I have to tell you, being here in person, Kate, it definitely gives you a different vantage point in terms of what you see on television. This road here, Hawthorne Boulevard, a major artery through this community, has such a downward slope, and we know that Tiger Woods was speeding. Just how fast he was going, we don't know. I mean, the real question remains, how and why did he lose control of that vehicle? And we know that he was traveling again at a high rate of speed. Hopefully investigators will be able to speak with Tiger at some point, or perhaps he can talk to his representatives and they can tell us what his recollections might be. But we do know that he was pinned in that vehicle. They used a pry bar and an axe to get him out.
But first off, that's all shit we know, the high rate of speed and the pinned and the pry bar. Show us the fucking highway. First off, it's got a lot of traffic on it today, and you wouldn't know there was an accident. That's fine, but pan down the fucking hill and show us where he went off and where it was. You could probably ascertain as he, went off somewhere around here and then tumbled down X amount of feet till the next street down at the bottom or whatever it is. But I'll continue it. It's not sad.
Before you do, there's a very good chance Brian and I don't know. They could show it on the side, but since you chose to film in portrait mode, we'll never know.
No, there was nothing. There was nothing they showed, but I did.
There's a detailed schematic off to the side.
You know what? I made a decision that this is going to be an audio type thing, that there wasn't, because he's just a talking head. And by the way, do we really know he's even on the highway where Tiger went off? I mean, he really could be almost anywhere. He could be just standing outside the CNN studios on a strip of highway
Atlanta.
saying that, because they never go wide. They're just tight on him. All right, keep going.
To get him out, put him on the backboard, taking him to the hospital. And as we heard from the sheriff, he was wearing a seatbelt, and that likely saved his life. Now, one question has come up: where was Tiger going? Well, he was actually headed to a country.
All right. Anyway, where was he going? I want to know where he went, like down the fucking hill.
Literally.
Show me the hill. Have you guys seen the hill yet?
Nope.
So I have. This is the JV squad, because last night while I was doing something else in the background, what I don't know who's on at night on CNN, but they had a correspondent walking the path where the car went down. He was on the median between the two sides of the highway, and he was walking the path of the cameraman. I was like, this guy, he was a British or Irish. He had an accent, and he was getting after it. And this fucking guy is just standing there doing a static shot. Chris, if you can find it, there was 9:45.
Did they pan down the hill?
They were on the hill. They like it was like as though you and I, cameraman and host, were walking down the embankment.
I hate
so
this.
not what you're talking about, but it was something. It was perspective.
I hate to say it, but we kind of need Louis and Huell Hauser.
That's right.
On this
So we
one.
get a shot of this.
He'd put on those waffle stompers and those desert shorts, and he'd go, "Come on, Louis," and they'd just walk it all the way down the hill.
It was Cuomo because he was going. He must be a big golf fan because he was going on and on. Tiger Woods is an important athlete. I don't know if you know this about Chris Cuomo. He's prone to hyperbole, and he was going on and on about how important Tiger was. This just isn't any athlete. This is Tiger Woods. Like, all right, yes,
well,
sure, but
let me ask you guys this philosophical question about Chris Cuomo and other guys that are super earnest. Do you have earnest eyes and then become earnest? Or does you being earnest shape and position your eyes so that that's what they look like? Because Chris Cuomo has super earnest eyes.
Oh, interesting.
And so when he must have been looking at himself in the mirror and just seeing a super earnest person looking back at him all the time and go, I better be earnest.
Yeah,
I mean,
use this.
There's
a jawline.
You can have gay eyes, you know what I mean? Why can't you have earnest eyes? He has super earnest eyes, or do you just speak earnestly for so long that your eyes just sort of, I don't mean physically take the shape, but just the position, the brows up or whatever.
Brow, yeah.
Yes, he has a very earnest look. So
it carried over in the whole, because right after the correspondent, because that was interesting. He goes, I forget how he phrased it, but it was something like, we're going to have on it was something like a shining beacon of the world of journalism or the world of the reported word, Bryant Gumbel. And they cut to Bryant Gumbel, and Gumbel's laughing. He's like, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm not a beacon of shining whatever. But Cuomo, he believed it.
Yeah, Gumbel has pretty earnest eyes too.
Indeed.
Yeah, he was heaping praise.
Especially in the Tiger doc.
Yeah, he's earnest with a little bit of judgment in those eyes. It's not all just pure earnestness. You know what I mean? Gumbel's got a little judgment mixed with a healthy dose of earnest. All right. So do we ever, Max Bad, but do we know how far that... Shouldn't it all be he tumbled 150 feet down an embankment or 30 feet down an embankment?
Well, and using your logic, if it's not reported, it couldn't have been that drastic.
That's my thought with like the ages for COVID. It's like if they're not reporting it, it's not going to hit that big of an impact.
Well, evidently his airbag stayed inflated the whole time, which is, I guess, a good thing. Sometimes they don't, so that probably added a lot. And back to my Volvo versus new car argument I used to have with my mom and others, which is my mom would always go, I drive a Volvo because it's the safest car. And I would always go, your Volvo's 26 years old. And she'd go, yeah, it's the safest car. It's like, yes.
It was the safest car.
It was the safest car while Reagan was president. It was amongst the safest cars. Now the Kia is safer than your old Volvo because it has all this technology. So drive a new car. It's kind of weird. You don't hear about car safety anymore, and I think it's because they're all so goddamn safe. They used to really work that angle. All right. Update on Sonny and his unicycle. I've revised my plans to build him a harness or a grab bar.
Right.
I found him when I came home yesterday just balancing himself using the bar that's attached to the kitchen. It's probably 42 inches off the ground, grabbing onto it, getting himself balanced onto that, finding his kind of center, and then taking off. Now, when I say taking off, I mean 3/4 of a pedal and a flop, but he got up to like a pedal and a half or 2 pedals or something, and then I realized, oh yeah, that's how I learned to do it. I sat on it, I got my balance, I hung on to something, and then I let go, and I went off, and each time I did it, I did another pedal than I did the time before, or revolution, I should say. But I said, balance yourself up. Keep your hand on the bar. Once you get your balance, lift your hand off, lean forward, and take off. If you're back, it never works. It just flies out in front of you. Get a little forward lean for all of you who are listening. Once you got your balance laid out, lean forward and take off, and he did it. So I think he might be up and running on that in the next week or so. On the other
Epic
hand,
fail.
On the other hand, think about all those things we could never do in the house, which was like everything.
God, everything.
Ride a bike.
Yeah, what are you doing? You're chewing gum in the living room? You're chewing up. It was like
You couldn't bring the bike in the house.
everything
No.
was. Nothing could be in the house, and you could do nothing inside of the house. By the way, our houses we grew up in were piles of shit. Like, what is this? Arlington Cemetery or something? This is sacred ground? It's a beater in the fucking valley. There's nothing good going on in this house. There's nothing I could do to that floor to make it any worse than it already is. But
It's been punished enough.
Right.
The big one in our house, and Brian, for some reason, I feel like your mom would have shouted this at you too. It was a lot of, get a bowl! No matter what you were holding, get a bowl!
right.
What was the bowl for? No, my mom
Whatever,
never
just
said
get
that.
a bowl. Get a bowl if you're holding a cracker or you're drinking water or you have a napkin. You get a bowl!
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of, you couldn't transport a sandwich from one room to the next room. You'd have to have it professionally crated and wrapped in bubble wrap and hermetically sealed, and a team of certified technicians. Like, where are you going with that? Like the idea that you would walk out of the kitchen holding something that you were eating. Insane. So he's unicycling in the house, and I don't care because I am not one of our parents. We have the diagram of the tiger crash, so we can.
Oh, it's rough, but it kind of shows you what.
Does it say how far down the hill he went?
I'm not seeing any numbers as far.
See, I don't think he actually went that far down.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
it's like a slope.
Yeah,
Right.
He went off the road. And it's more dramatic to say he went off the road and crashed, but I don't think he went
Or
that
down
far.
an embankment.
Well, it's so you tumble down an embankment, but if the embankment isn't that impressive, well, then fine. All right.
Thanks for another
Yeah,
time.
he's what?
Yeah, there it is.
15
He's off
feet
the road
from
by,
from the
Two
the
car
white
lengths.
line.
Oh, he's way up there. I thought he was way down. I mean, he's just barely. The elevation difference looks like about 20 feet or something.
Yeah, I think a lot of the shots at first were helicopter shots, so you're looking down at them. But
All right. Come on. Rub some dirt on it, Tiger. Let's go, Bucky.
Put that bone back in your knee.
It's so sad that we get so sanctimonious now. I mean, so much reverence and stuff like that. I mean, I think we could argue that Tiger Woods is really good at golf, but possibly a little bit flawed as a human being.
Well,
Not
I'd say
great at
so.
driving.
And he got into a car accident that he caused himself. Do we have to pull out the sort of fallen hero kind of stuff? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're so weird about that. I was watching someone who came up next on CNN. It's like a woman who penned an article about Tiger and about how he changed the world. And it's like, Jesus Christ, he's a good, I don't want to sound like my mom, but he's a good golfer who's done some bad things. Like all of us, except for the golf part.
And he's still alive. This isn't an obituary.
Yes, he shall be walking out of that hospital, I say.
On the way in today, I was listening to Randy Wang on KABC.
Yeah.
His sports report, and he said that CNN had to find somebody to comment on leg injuries in sports, and he said they actually called Joe Theismann.
Oh, wow.
And interviewed him on the air.
No.
Oh, wow.
That's pathetic.
That is funny. Famously
Joe
compound
Theismann.
fracture from
How about
Lawrence Taylor. Yeah.
Alex Smith? They're going to rename the goddamn Comeback Player of the Year award after him. How about that guy?
Yeah, I get that. Or
Joe Theismann.
deeper dive, McCaffrey, his dad, had one. All right. So this is a clip from Reasonable Doubt, which will air in its entirety on, what is that, Friday?
Saturday.
Something like that. Either way, Tin Horn Flats came up. Mark's on the case, and there's a special clip of a councilman giving an analogy that should blow your mind and should get him canceled. But we will we'll drill down on that 21 seconds after you guys listen to the 11 minutes in its entirety. let's set the table a little bit
Yeah,
more
please
before we
do.
go into
Please
it.
do.
So
because you know what's going to happen. Your head is you're going to go from 0 to 120 when you see this, because I don't think you've seen this yet.
Tin Horn Flats, as the crow flies, is about 1.25 miles from where I'm sitting. The guy who owns it and runs it with his family and his kids is a guy I graduated with at North Hollywood High in 1982. I found out that they were staying open and defying the outdoor dining lockdown order, which to this day, no one has been able to produce any evidence that would suggest that that was a dangerous way to serve food or that there was any spread that way. And
let me just do a commentary. Not only is there no evidence, no data, and unequivocally county health and the state health director have admitted there's no evidence, there is a compelling case to be made that it actually doubled down and exacerbated the problem by forcing people to go indoors.
Right. So I took Barrett LePagian as the name of the gentleman who I went to high school with, who runs it. So I took my son there to eat outdoors during the outdoor dining lockdown. Now, in a different America, they would have said that would have been a nice story. If you were making a movie, you'd go, this guy went to high school with this guy, was friends with this guy in high school, then his business was being closed down by the evil city of Burbank. So this guy took his son as an act of defiance to go there and eat outdoors. That's a story that you would tell. If that was a movie, I would be the goddamn hero in that movie, and Burbank would be the villain, especially since now Sonny's clinging to life in an ICU because we had a burger outdoors. But that was their beef. Now, again, the insidious part of this is our loyal subjects have defied us, and thus they must be punished to set an example for any other citizen who attempts to defy us. And whatever our decrees are, no matter how bizarre or how unprovable they are or how little they lack research or science, you defy us, you shall be punished and made an example of. So now Burbank, the city of Burbank, is going after. Now, obviously, the restaurants that are to the right and to the left of Tin Horn Flats that did obey and did cancel the outdoor dining, they're now back up and running with outdoor dining. So really, the city of Burbank owes them an apology. They basically owe all the restaurants that were closed down an apology for needlessly closing down outdoor dining. But they're not going to do that. They're going to go after the place that defied them.
And by the way, let me also kind of add another, to kind of set the table. The argument that the city of Burbank has made is that the violations were of the LA County health permit. Well, the LA County health permit was issued, and a Superior Court judge found that it was not only unconstitutional, but arbitrary and capricious. They had no basis for it whatsoever. And that was before the county suspended their health permit. Now, mind you, you would think in the face of the city of Burbank would say, well, let's press pause, let that litigation go on, or maybe, well, let's hear what happened about that. No. They have decided they're going to double or triple down. We're now going to revoke their conditional use permit. And Alexandra, a lawyer in the office, attended the hearing. And Gary, I think, has now excised a particular clip. What is the guy's name who takes center stage? What is this failed actor, city council member's name?
Yes, it's Councilman Constantine Anthony. And just to give a little bit more context, this is at the tail end of the meeting that is all about Tin Horn Flats that went on for well over 4 hours. And I have
4 hours was spent on this.
I've watched a large portion of it, and it is pretty maddening. It's Yeah, but this particular clip, I think, is especially egregious. So we will highlight it here, and I'm going to play it for you guys right now.
And by the way, zero transmission in terms of cases produced by the outdoor dining of Tin Horn Flats. You could factor that in.
Well, zero transmission. And look, I have been in the courts and filings. The one case that has ever been cited in all of the litigation I've done is an apocryphal story in Wuhan by some guy who says he got it outdoors talking to somebody. That's the one case that's actually mentioned in their paperwork after judges have given them time after time after time to come up with a study or any other data. That's it.
Let's listen to the clip.
The idea that the health of this and the science is debatable, and simply because there's a debate, we can throw out all of these orders. That is ludicrous. That is not the way you run society or government. You do the best you can. You get the smartest people in the room. You take a democratic vote and you pass laws and ordinances. And if they're wrong, they get changed. And if they're unconstitutional, they get thrown out in court. But you take them as they come and you follow the law as it is. You know, Rosa Parks actually had to sit in jail after she was taken off the bus. She did her time. I mean, granted, she did change the law. The courts came down and ruled in her favor, but she still had to pay the penance for violating a lawful order at the time. It was a lawful order at the time. So we have to look at the time and the dates that we have before us.
Adolf Hitler was admired by many of his countrymen at the time. At the time.
Let me explain something, just how ludicrous and idiotic this human is. First of all, it wasn't a lawful order. That was the whole point. The order was not lawful. Number one, it wasn't lawful because the governor and the county have not gone through the Administrative Procedures Act. What they have done is they've given an unelected bureaucrat who is not a doctor by the name of Barbara Ferrer the authority to issue these orders. They did it originally under an emergency order. That emergency order has long since passed. There is no lawful order. That's what a county judge, Superior Court judge found. The Court of Appeal we've already done the oral arguments. They are trying to decide this or wrestling with this right now. Everything he just said is factually, legally, and just common sense wrong. It's ludicrous. And by the way, if you're going to invoke Rosa Parks, at least do it correctly. Rosa Parks wasn't the Rosa Parks analogy, as you said, that's basically this guy trying to turn her into the Nuremberg defense. It's the most absurd thing I've ever heard.
Well, also, I don't know, in a day and age where everyone is getting canceled for everything, explaining that we did the right thing by taking Rosa Parks and disciplining her seems pretty egregious in this particular political climate. I
don't understand. It was okay. You should have thrown. Is what he's saying is it was okay for Rosa Parks to be prosecuted and go to jail? That she had to pay the penance because it was a lawful order? What is he talking about? Why does this pontificating blowhard? Why would the people in the city of Burbank vote? I mean, this guy was elected. And if he was elected, why hasn't he been recalled?
It would be nice, but also from a just purely humanistic standpoint, just forget about titles and elections and Tin Horn Flats and the city of Burbank. This guy seems like an unmitigated imbecile. This guy he may be dumber than Gavin Newsom. Move over, Gavin. There's a new sheriff in the idiot department, and his name is Constantine Anthony. So first off, his logic. Could you imagine this guy in court What if this guy was a lawyer that you had to square off against, and he started his opening statement with that Rosa Parks analogy? It would be the shortest work day of your life.
I wouldn't even get to speak. I could just picture the judge, Mr. Garrigus, sit down. I got this. I got this. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And by the way, where is the city attorney? Why do you let these people say these things that are just open to scrutiny of even a 8th grade civics level that you know are wrong? What lawful order is he talking about? And that was the whole argument that was being made, that it wasn't a lawful order.
So where does it stand now? What's the current status?
My understanding is that they're open, and if they want to shut them down, they're going to have to sue. So, they want to sue, then guess what? Then we go to court. Then guess what? Alex will, I'm sure, get this particular Einstein or civil rights maven under oath in a deposition, and we'll have him explain himself. I mean, it's really astonishing. There's a Lord of the Flies element to all of this, if you will, because if you read some of the comments, most people are sensible and realize just how absurd this is. But the people who come and support this, the 0-follower Twitterites who are like, yeah, he's infected people and they're in the ICUs and he's causing death and destruction. I mean, it's like, what? How the zigzag of logic is astonishing to watch.
All right, so that's an update on that. And Councilman Constantine Anthony, as you heard, made a Rosa Parks analogy about what's going on at Tin Horn Flats. Now, look,
timed.
We're living in a day and age where Chris Harrison just got benched for saying, show the gal some grace. You know what I mean? Like, let's figure it out. Where people are getting fired left and right for saying, no one condones the use of the N-word, but if the guy used the N-word as an example that was given to him.
You're out now.
Right. Like everything black, you are out. This guy goes for, the Mount Rushmore of black folk. It's, Martin Luther King, maybe Obama's up there. Rosa Parks is second. Or third.
Yeah,
she's
top of the list.
Way the hell up there. And let's just break down his game film again.
Rosa Parks actually had to sit in jail after she was taken off the bus. She did her time. I mean, granted, she did change the law. The courts came down and ruled in her favor, but she still had to pay the penance for violating a lawful order at the time.
So what he's saying is Tin Horn Flats may be, a hero in the revolution.
Maybe righteous.
But for now, we got to punish him.
Right.
And
Rosa Parks did the right. Rosa Parks did the right thing, but slow your roll, people. We took care of her, but good.
Right. She had to take her lickings just like everybody else.
Right. And then later on, she became a cultural icon. But at the time, we had to do the right thing. And now that we've learned this valuable lesson from 1964, we're going to move ahead to 2021 to Burbank, and we should stay the course. And if another Rosa Parks type comes along and tries to break down some barriers, we got to make sure and punish her as well. And then later on.
Somebody in his camp, if it's his wife, his mom, his brother, somebody gave him that example and he was like, ooh, that's good. I can use that.
I had the same thought, Gina, which is this is the example of, I don't know, Constantine, perhaps he's a genius, but this is the hallmark of someone who heard something and didn't really think it through.
Exactly.
Like, oh, that's good.
Isn't that sort of a third rail in today's world and politics?
It's a very curious comparison at best.
But also, we're living in a time where if you say, look, what's going on now isn't as bad as the Holocaust, but it's still bad. Someone will go, you brought up the Holocaust.
And you said it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I know.
I heard it wasn't bad.
Right. And it's like and then what happens now is people go, like Gina Carano, they go, you evoked the Holocaust. You brought it up. You should have never brought it up. That's why we're playing. You not only evoked Rosa Parks, but you used her in an example of you should punish people who do the right thing.
Yes.
That's why. Oh, by the way, you want to talk about shitting all over your own point?
Yes.
In this equation, if Tin Horn Flats is Rosa Parks, you're basically saying, you know how she got jobbed by the man in the 60s?
You're the Montgomery police.
Yes, well, now we're in charge, and I'm Bull Connor. Get out the fire hoses.
That when you first heard, I'm kind of listening and I'm cleaning up the table or whatever. And I hear Rosa Parks and I'm like, oh, the Burbank City Council thinks they're Rosa Parks. I'm like, wait a second. Click the kaleidoscope one more time. This shit's getting crazy.
Yeah. Well, also, it's a little peek behind the window of the insane stupidity that goes on in your skull. Like this same guy is going to be in charge of the side of the freeways or when the schools get reopened or trash collection. I mean, this is a non-clear thinker.
I pulled up his bio just because the name, how many can there be? And it says Constantine Anthony for Burbank City Council. So I'm assuming that's him. And I'm just going to read you the first paragraph. Just take from it whatever you want.
Loves horseback riding, hiking, and hates Rosa Parks.
Okay, so I'll do the second paragraph. Okay. Hi, I'm Constantine, he/him. I am autistic and I've been homeless. In 2004, I moved to Burbank to work in film and television. Since that time, I become involved in disability advocacy, housing justice, and workers' rights. I'm proud to be running with the official support of the LA County Democratic Party.
All right, so he's impaired. He's handicapped, which is fine, but just go get yourself a fucking van with a lift and shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. We got this guy deciding the fucking fate of a small business that dared to stay open during an unconstitutional close down with no science to back it up whatsoever. And this imbecile is the one who's in charge of leading the battle against him. And again, we have plenty of problems to take care of. Small family-owned business is not one of them right now. When you're done with the homeless and garbage and graffiti and clean water and all that kind of stuff and crime, then if you got some time left over, carve out some time to destroy a small business that pays taxes in your community.
Right. And when, over the summer, but who knows, time's all blending together. When the LA City Council or Board of Supervisors or whatever decided that, we couldn't do outdoor restaurants anymore, just like Tin Horn Flats, and they couldn't find an example. So they pushed the date, to find the data. And now the data or the example they use in Burbank is some guy in Wuhan said that he got COVID. That is where everything is, because a guy in Wuhan made this claim, and that's what we're bridging this whole thing on.
Yeah. And by the way, Wuhan and China has become some bastion of truth and accuracy in terms of reporting things. All right, we'll take ourselves a quick break. We'll come back. Gina Park, but not Rosa Parks, but Gina's got a park picture for us and a statement right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, what up, Adam? I'm the guy who gave you the box of edibles at the Irvine Mangria signing years ago that you gave to Dawson, which ended up being a drop. Anyway, I thought of a rich man, poor man that I'm not sure if you guys have already done or not. Does not have a resume. Keep up the good work, guys.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Yeah, that's good. I think I've heard it.
I love to ingest marijuana-laced food.
I think that's the draw.
But
sounds like it.
Yeah, good rich man, poor man. Yeah, we're going to do trending topics here, but first, something we've been sitting on for a little while that Gina found.
Yeah, this is pretty egregious, pretty awesome. So lately, the gold mine has been the For Crying Out Loud Facebook page, Lynette's Facebook page, which is so much fun, and everyone over there is so cool. And somebody posted this from their neighborhood. Before I read you the sign that is posted, it says, this from Catherine. It says, "This is a legit sign someone posted in my tiny little neighborhood playground today. My first instinct is to tell my kids to try to not be too loud at the park, but now that I'm rereading it, I'm very, very annoyed. How about this lady's quote imagines what it's like to try to keep little kids entertained in the middle of a pandemic."
Hold on. Sorry.
Yes.
Max Pata, when you state it as Gina found a sign, I think you should probably do the part where she didn't find the sign, but she found the sign online.
I did say that, but I could see how you may not.
You did say that?
Yes.
You said they went to the Facebook page.
Yeah. Well, I said she found a sign online. I did. I promise you.
Gina found a sign. Gina found a sign.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is For Crying Out Loud Facebook page.
Yeah, it's a real sign.
I'm just saying. I think Gina found a sign because Gina has a young one, and Gina goes to the park, and we got into the sign.
I can see how you're
yes, just say it's off it was posted onto the For Crying Out Loud Facebook page, and Gina found it.
Okay. Okay.
Well, because I think she had this experience.
I understand
my
that's
problem.
what you think, but I promise you, I did not convey it in such a way.
What did you say?
I said there's a park sign that Gina found on the internet, and then I read it off to you, where I summarized what the park sign said.
Right. All right. Question she found it on the internet.
Because if it was Gina, if she personally found it, I always emphasize that too.
Well, we got back into Gina found a sign. And then we were talking about like Gina's sign. You know what I'm saying? But why not say
and then in shorthand,
For Crying Out Loud? Why not say? But it's our For Crying Out Loud is a show that we do.
Yes.
Why not just say off of the For Crying Out Loud Facebook page?
Well, it's the same thing as finding it on the internet.
Not really. You think that's the same?
I find that the same thing. Like, oh yeah, she saw something on the internet. It's a social media page. Like she
right, but this is a show that's on our network.
Right, but it's not like Lynette posted it. It's a listener. So the Facebook group is just a bunch of listeners congregate and form a community, and then they just post.
You don't feel that information would have been safe with me? No, just say on the For Crying Out Loud Facebook page that Gina was on, she found this thing.
Okay.
Because it'll give us all a little more context. Because it's either I don't
even think you know what Facebook pages are. So I don't.
I know what For Crying Out Loud is, right?
Right.
Well, that's our thing, right?
Yeah.
All right, just say it's for our thing then.
Okay.
Because my choice is either Gina went to the park and saw this sign, which is what I think happened, or Gina was just cruising the internet looking for signs. I didn't know it was off of the... You could give a plug to For Crying Out Loud.
Well, I don't think there's a better plug than this one.
What would be so harmful about a little extra information? That's what I'm saying.
All right.
You disagree with that?
I don't disagree. I'm happy to give you more information.
Well, let's say there was a reasonable doubt Facebook page, and Gina found something that was pertinent to do on the show from that page. Do you think that should we just say she found something on the internet, or should we say she was looking at the reasonable doubt Facebook page?
Well, I would say the reasonable doubt Facebook page.
Aha. Sure. Well, why?
Well, because you're more familiar with that. I don't think you listen to For Crying Out Loud, and I don't think you're familiar with their Facebook community. So I just figured, okay.
But isn't that a better reason to tell me? I mean,
it has nothing to do with the show other than the fact that a listener of that show found it.
Okay, so not information we should bring up then. I should learn it when Gina says it.
Look, it could be information we bring up, but I don't think it warrants this conversation of you getting upset about it.
I'm not upset about it. I'm upset that you're defending a retarded position, which is you could tell me that Gina found it on the For Crying Out Loud Facebook page, a sign. That would give me a little more context versus either thinking she found it herself or was just cruising the internet looking for retarded signs.
Okay.
You don't think it's pertinent?
I think your experience with the internet is different than mine. So when I go on social media, things just pop up. It's not like I'm looking for retarded signs. Things will just pop up.
They just popped up from one of the married to the woman who does the show that she found the Facebook page on. Doesn't that just seems pertinent to me?
I understand, and I can start bringing that up more often.
Signs?
I don't mind the not bringing it up. I mind the defense of not bringing it up, to be clear.
The defense is not of me not bringing it up. The defense is I don't think you should be as miffed by the previous conversation. Like I'm sorry I didn't tell you it was from the For Crying Out Loud Facebook page. I won't do it again.
Okay. Just don't be so defensive about it. It's a piece of it could be pertinent to this. Okay. That's all. Or I shouldn't learn it when Gina says it on the air. I should know it coming in. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
All right, douche. All right, so it's not one you found, and it's not one you found going through the internet.
Didn't I find it?
You did find it. Yes. Yes. It's apropos of nothing.
Right.
Right.
So either way, it is worth noting it is a real sign in a real playground from a real person. This is what it says. And it's laminated and it's nailed to the tree. Hello, park patrons. Just for a second, try to imagine that this park is in front of your house. And every day, all throughout the day, people are in front of your house making noise, leaving you without any sense of peace and quiet in your own home. Many people are working from home these days and are being disrupted by the constant noise here at the park. This daily flocking to the park has become an everyday occurrence that is quite frankly disrespectful and is becoming a huge problem for most of the neighbors around it.
Could you imagine if this person lived in Chicago next to the elevated train? They'd have to go out every day and put a new sign up like, "Dear conductor."
Here's Chicago Transport Authority.
What are the chances the park was built after they moved in? Like, it's very likely the park was there when they bought the house.
That's everybody's comment. You did move into a house next to a playground, yes, but let me finish because it's great. All of you can leave the park and go back to your nice, quiet homes and not have to deal with it. But the unlucky few have to endure the wonderful sounds of screaming kids for hours until everybody decides to leave or until it gets dark.
This is satire.
Like mentioned above, imagine if you had a park right in front of your house and had to deal with that every day. Just think about it for a minute. Pretty sure nobody would be too happy with it, so why should we be?
Well, you shouldn't be happy with it. It just is.
You should tolerate it or move.
If you live on a cul-de-sac, there's not much traffic, and if you live on Ventura Boulevard, there's a lot of traffic, and the price will be reflected, in the condo or the home, but. Certainly, you knew the job was dangerous when you took it because
you saw the monkey bars.
Parks had to be there since the 50s, and your house is from 87. So we've done the house math, but that is insane. I wonder if it would
so passive aggressive.
A long-winded
if it was you, yeah.
Yes, it probably cause more people to make more noise than the other way around. I get the signs about cleaning up after your dog and that kind of stuff, but this is insane entitlement, and it kind of makes you wonder. My feeling is always like we are looking at this person in a bubble. They have scripted out this sign, laminated it, and posted it, but that's only one small part of their day. You know what I mean? This person is going into Starbucks and complaining that they ordered medium foam and they got mega foam or light foam. They're interacting with the public. They're going to work. No. They have ideas about what goes on at work next to their cubicle.
They have conceptual problems. Like the person who walks into the Starbucks, why are there so many people in this coffee shop?
Why are they in my way?
It's a popular coffee shop.
Yeah.
All right. Do we
Why
have?
do they smell like coffee?
We got some trending topics, Maxapata.
Yeah, sure. Let's get into it.
All right. Do we have an intro?
Don't even know your name. Thinks your producing skills are lame.
Yeah.
Makes fun of how your show. Okay. You seem to only make things worse when you explain to him how Twitter works.
Or the internet.
No one would want your job. He screams and makes you have to jump to search the internet and make him right. Laxamana. His real name's Laxamana.
All right. So I got some topics here. First off, though, I want to just get an update from you, Adam. You said that you're moving towards cake versus pie. You've been a pie guy for a long time. But now I want to know, because you filmed that clip in portrait mode. Does portrait mode still bother you as much as it used to?
My problem with portrait mode versus landscape mode was it stemmed from Lynette going to Sonny's basketball games and then sitting up in the bleachers like 8 or 10 rows and then filming the basketball game, but not doing it in portrait mode, in which case I could see what was going on the floor. And then I would say just do it in portrait mode. Or landscape mode. Screw that up. Doing landscape mode so I could see the other players. Or it's hard to film a kid's basketball game in portrait mode. Now, when I do I'm going to film CNN on the TV set, I mainly just do it for the audio, because I know most people are just listening with earbuds, so I don't get that much into what it looks like. But there was nothing going on the TV, because I watched the clip 3 times and then I decided to film it, so I was like, fuck it.
Because most people consume things via their phone now, so that's why the movement for landscape mode is almost disappeared. Because everybody's watching things on their phone.
I gotta tell you though, every time I do a hit on TMZ or whatever show, TMZ Live or whatever show I'm doing at, and we're doing the Zoom. Well, not the Zoom. What is it? Well, on the phone. Trying to think of Skype.
Zoom
probably doing the Skype. They always want it in landscape mode.
Right.
They do, like when they're filming you.
Rule of thumb, and hard to have this kind of foresight, of course, if you're only ever going to show the video on your phone to people, knock yourself out with portrait mode. If this is going to go on a television or a monitor or a computer screen or a laptop, by all means, please put that shit in landscape.
The bald one speaketh the truth.
And I agree. All right, Adam. So earlier this week, you talked about a Kanye song that you liked.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another rapper out there, Meek Mill, Philadelphia-based. I also want to play a clip of his most popular song. This is called Going Bad, features Drake, came out in 2018. Just want to introduce you to his music before I tell you why he's trending.
I know something about Meek Mill. I think he was in jail for a little while. Hope everyone's sitting down. You don't hear about rappers doing a run in jail.
Welfare guy, the EDD guy, or is that another rapper?
No, that's another guy.
Yeah, so the reason he's in the news now, or he's trending, is because a song that he made leaked. It's called Don't Worry, and he had a line in there about Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
And oh man, the internet just turned on the guy. So the song's been scrubbed off the net.
Oh, Meek Mill's from Philly?
Yeah.
And Kobe's from Philly,
yep.
right?
That's right. That's
oh,
right.
Boy. Also, I'd like to get Meek Mill and Common together to figure out who has the most lackluster rap name ever. Because I didn't think you could do worse than Common. But now we're at Meek, and now we're going into at least at Common, we're just sort of treading water. Yeah, we're kind of, we're at 0. But Meek is now we're dipping into the negative.
Yeah. Well, his real name is Robert Rameek Williams.
Oh, that's where the meat comes in, right?
There's a little bit of it's derived from something. But so his song, I'll just read you the line. It's this bitch I'm fucking always tell me that she love me, but she ain't ever showed me. Yeah, and if I ever lack, I'm going out with my chopper. It be another Kobe. So once people heard that line,
show it that tomorrow.
He is getting reamed online. And
if I ever lack, is that what he said?
Yeah, and if I ever lack, I'm going out with my chopper. It be another Kobe.
What's lack mean there?
I'm not sure.
I just assumed it was like if I ever get poor, if I don't stay wealthy, if I'm lacking, if I lack.
But then how are you going to afford a chopper, Gina?
Never mind. I recuse myself. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, let's find out how we're.
Okay, I can.
Origins of lack.
I will. Vanessa Bryant went on her Instagram story.
Oh boy! So he's going out like Kobe.
Vanessa was not happy, and then didn't he tell her to go F herself?
Well, it's kind of there's a little look. It's the two things I've learned is stay away from Rosa Parks and stay away from Kobe Bryant when you're trying to make examples. But it's kind of. I think they're versions of rap songs where they're like saying they're glad or celebrating or whatever. He just said going out like, which is poor taste and too soon, but it's not exactly saying screw it or sell. He, in a weird way, he's kind of saying I'm going down this. I'm going to go out. But anyway.
Right. It's not necessarily a diss line.
Right.
But Vanessa says, I find this line to be extremely insensitive and disrespectful, period. I am not familiar with any of your music, but I believe you can do better than this. If you are a fan, fine. There's a better way to show your admiration for my husband. This lacks respect and tact. And, of course, everybody is standing Vanessa over her comment. And then...
Hold on. What rhymes, Brian? What rhymes with Thurman Munson?
Burnin' Bunsen. Ah! Nice.
I'll go down to the lab and burn some Bunsen. If I lack out, I'm going Thurman Munson. Max Zapata doesn't get the Thurman Munson.
I don't, but I saw that it rhymed and I was amused.
Well, if anyone...
Another Clemente.
Yeah. Dawson, look up the Thurman Munson. All right, go ahead, sir.
Oh, anyway, so Meek went on Twitter and said, look, I apologize privately. Please just let it go. If you guys want to grieve and help those who are grieving, just let it go. So he's just asking for people to let it go. And which brings us to the question, is Kobe, of course, he's untouchable, but how long do you think that'll be? Will it be forever just because of what an icon he was? Because people were making Tiger Woods jokes yesterday, and I saw some comedians getting upset by that too.
Has South Park not made a Kobe joke? It feels like those guys just kind of go after whatever's in the news, no matter how sacred.
There hasn't been really a ton of new episodes since the crash. I'm sure they've made like rape jokes.
I feel like the rule of thumb is if you would have been dead anyway, like it's been 103 years, then we're allowed to do it.
That makes sense. Like we can do Lincoln. How did you enjoy the show?
You can kind of do most notable people if in fact they would be dead by now.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. Okay.
You looking up Thurman Munson?
I wasn't, but
okay.
I was trying to find. I thought he at first, and obviously it's not on his Twitter anymore, but I thought he kind of told Vanessa to go F herself.
There was some talk about that, but now it's just he's saying he apologized. And
what is this?
This is a song called Thurman Munson.
Really?
Yeah, by Larry Coryell, featuring John Schofield.
Eric Coryell?
I get that he was a baseball player, but did he have a horrific helicopter
Yankees
joke?
captain.
Yeah.
Before Jeter.
Dan Fouts is playing the sixth string here, by the way. Brian and I are taking our own little deep dive into weird sports shit.
Kellen Winslow's on the stand-up bass.
I'm waiting for Jim Carolla just to pop in.
There's another song called Thurman Munson.
There's another song called Thurman Munson?
Well, there had to be some Thurman Munson.
Yankee and a Yankee fan play tragedy in the middle of my life trajectory away from me, and it makes me sad to think of Thurman Munson in the Hall of Fame. away from me, and it makes me sad and it comforts that my best friend's last resort was New York.
I don't want to play the whole song because Mike's got this guy booked for Monday, so I will play it then, obviously.
This is The Union, is the name of the band, The Union.
Of course.
They have a Thurman Munson song.
Wow.
Yeah, feels very 1992.
Now, did you
97.
you find this on the
wow.
internet, or was this on the For Crying Out Loud Facebook page? Because if it was, you got to sound off, Dawson.
Brought up about total footnote. I don't think Chris or Gina have this story, but Adam, just FYI, did you hear about Kellen Winslow Jr.?
No.
He was sentenced to a lengthy prison sentence earlier this week for, Gina, you can verify this, raping a homeless woman?
Oh, yeah, I'd heard that he'd been accused of that, but I didn't know what happened with sentencing. So Gina and Chris and probably Dawson and every other human being listening, the Air Coryell reference was the San Diego Chargers. Gary would probably know this one because he's a Chargers fan. And the coach, Don Coryell, was it?
Don Coryell, yeah.
Yeah,
Late
Don,
70s, early 80s?
Yeah, he threw the ball a lot
They aired it
deep.
out.
And the guy who wrote the first Thurman Munson song had a name that sounded something like that.
Larry Coryell.
And also, Thurman Munson died in a small plane crash.
Cessna crash.
That was the Thurman Munson Meek Mill. Could have saved himself a lot of. Although it's kind of weird because Thurman Munson, according to my calculations, might not be dead through natural causes now.
79-ish?
He died in the late 70s. It was probably 27, 28, or I don't know. So it was like,
He'd still be around, very likely.
Well, the only way to really calculate it would be to figure out like the average age of a male death in this country, because we don't know if he would have gone longer or shorter.
True.
We'd pick the 78 and 4 months and then figure out when Thurman Munson's birthday was.
You'd
and
have to
then
imagine as a professional athlete, he was in decent shape, above average shape, so he'd probably live to at least the life expectancy.
But a lot of those guys, after they retire, put a couple pounds on, start hitting the sauce pretty good. He was a catcher. Those guys are prone to putting on a little more weight.
Tools of ignorance.
That's right. What year was Thurman Munson born? And let's decide whether we can make a joke about him or not.
He was born in 47.
47.
Yeah, he'd be like, what, 70?
Yeah, like Christy's dad.
Yeah, so.
Still around.
Can't joke.
Right. So he'd be he'd be 76. Is that, what did you say? Did I screw that up?
He'd be 73.
Oh, okay. All right.
Are we all losing our minds?
Yeah. What did you say? What year did you say?
47.
Oh, 47. Oh, I screwed that up. Yeah, he'd be 73. Or 4. 74. Okay. So we're going to have to wait.
He was born in June.
I was born in June. All right. So we're going to have to wait like 3 years and 9 months before we can really dig into Thurman Munson.
My Thurman Munson chunk will really kill.
It's too bad because I'm sure most people are clamoring for it, but we'll really have built up an appetite by the time we get to late June 2026.
You already have a few verses ready.
I know. So,
Real quick.
Dawson, 2 Thurman Munson songs out there?
2 Thurman Munson songs.
At least.
Wow.
Well, there is one more.
And Steve Yeager gets Jack Squat.
This one
That's for you too, Brian.
is by Abe Feigenbaum. Let's see what Abe Feigenbaum has to offer to the Thurman Munson theme of songwriting. And this one's called Thurman Munson. Released on the record Space Police.
Another one was what, 97?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the pilot's been drinking, he could lose his balance. Thurman Munson and Richie Valens. The captain's looking nervous, yeah, I think I saw him sweating. Buddy Holly and Otis Redding. The red check engine light shouldn't stay on. Rocky Marciano and Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh, no.
introducing the theme here.
A lot of rules here.
Rockies, said John Denver to the fighting New Rockney. I don't care who's coming, even if it's a star.
If he gets into the Marshall football team, I'm going to pull the fucking plug on this thing.
Fire Leonard Skinner to JFK Jr. and move your mind.
Yeah.
I don't care if we're hurting, if you think I'm insane.
What year is this? No.
Cause I'm never, ever flying on a private plane.
All right. He's the Weird Al of airplane disasters.
The Dead Milkmen did a song called Air Crash Museum.
Oh, really?
It's kind of the same, really the same vein.
I think the Dead Milk.
Leonard Skinner.
I think they did one on Jackie Onassis being dead or something like that too. Like, yeah, I guess there's a rich history of counterculture making fun of beloved people who've died. Who's this one?
This is the Dead Milkmen. This is Air Crash Museum.
Went out to feed the cattle. Into my surprise, my barn was full of bodies just for gathering up the flies. A big old jetliner had dropped from out of the sky. Well, I was so darn happy that I couldn't believe my eyes. We're gonna stuff them.
All right.
Put them on display.
Oh my.
We fancy clan. Buddy Holly.
All right. Well, Kobe will be missed, and Meek Mill gotta. It's a third rail. You stay away from Rosa, stay away from Kobe. All right.
And real quick, just to give an update on what Brian was talking about with Kellen Winslow Jr., he got 14 years in prison for, I guess we don't have to say alleged, sexual assault of a 54-year-old hitchhiker. Jesus. And he had like 5 other accusations against him too, and he could have gotten life in prison.
So Kellen Winslow, this going back to Air Coryell, which is Kellen Winslow was the best, tight end of his generation.
He was a Hall of Famer, yeah.
Hall of Famer, and then played, and then Son played too. Son was a tight end in the league. He had this like super iconic game. I think it was like a Monday Night Football game where the dad, where they just kept throwing balls to him, and it was humid and it was hot, and he was like dehydrated, and he literally is like being carried off the field. I mean, with his arms around 2 guys and like the towel over his head, and he's just it was
like a prize fighter been dragged off the mat.
Yeah, it was just like the most heroic performance. One of the most heroic performances in the NFL. But Jesus Christ,
I think they lost that game.
Huh.
I think it was a losing effort.
Were they playing playing Miami, and that's why it was so hot and humid?
I believe so.
All right. Well, Eddie Huang is going to join us in a second. Let me hit Simply Safe, Maxipata. Simply Safe. If you've got 30 minutes, you never have to worry about home break-ins ever again. That's how quick it is to set up a home security system from Simply Safe. It's easy to do. You can do it while you're binging on Netflix. You can are listening to certain podcasts. We use it. We've always used them. They've been with us for 1 million years. Peel and stick, no pulling wires, no drilling, no mess. Batteries last up to 10 years. You just go to simplysafe.com/Adam. Choose the exact sensors you need, depending on how many doors and openings and things you have, and then you can get help from their experts if you need it, and it's shipped out to your house in about a week, and then it's up and running. So go to simplysafe.com/Adam. Do it today. Customize your system and get a free security camera. That's Simply Safe, 2 eyes, simplysafe.com/Adam. All right, Eddie Huang, we will speak to, and we'll do that right after this.
It's time for Nicaraguan Name That Movie with Adam's buddy Oswaldo. See if you can guess which movie this famous line is from.
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
If you said Cool Hand Luke,
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
you're correct. Now, back to the show.
Eddie is going to be jumping on. Oh, there he is. Good to see Eddie.
How's it going? Long time no see.
I know. I'm reading here. It was January 2015, man. How you doing, Eddie?
Yeah. Good. I've aged. I'm doing good, man. It's good to see you.
I know we got the black don't crack, but the Asians need their own thing, right? In terms
Yeah, I think it's Asian don't raisin.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
that's good. It's good. It's not as good as black don't crack, but it's
No, it's not.
It's good.
second to the post office.
So, yes.
Oh, we do have Asian dolphin skin. You know, that is something.
That is?
Yeah. Yeah, we say that we have Asian dolphin skin.
Oh, that's in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't rhyme, I think it's
It doesn't rhyme.
my problem.
It doesn't
with
rhyme.
Boogie's the name of the movie. It's in theaters March 5th, written and directed by Eddie. Is this your first? I know you've written memoirs and Fresh Off the Boat and that kind of stuff. Is this your first feature in terms of writing?
Yeah, first feature I wrote, first feature I directed. First time, no, not my first time acting, but yeah, second time acting.
How did you swing that? And I don't mean that in a pejorative kind of way, but first time this and first time that in Hollywood can be difficult sometimes. People don't want to cough up the money.
No, you're totally right. I went out to sell this film, and as you know, in Hollywood, a lot of people, they were interested in the scripts, but then weren't unsure about me as a director, which made it a tougher bet. Also, the executive producer is my best friend, Rafael Martinez, who's like an old law school friend, but unless you have a credit under your belt, no one wants to give you the first chance. That's the hardest thing about the business. But we really just believed in ourselves. And the advice I would give anyone else that's first time wanting to do it is do the whole thing. Because sometimes you got agents and managers or people that will say, don't put pen to paper unless they're paying you. Unless they're totally into this, don't do the work yet. I want my client to like be sure that there's something here. I just did it. I paid a photographer friend of mine to shoot locations I wanted in the film. I had, stylists help me out. Like I did the whole thing and created like a presentation deck booklet. And when I showed it to Robert Wallach at Focus, he even told me he had no interest in buying this film originally. But when he looked at the pages and the presentation, he said, I got to do this because you know in your head exactly how you want to shoot and make this film. And that's what I'm investing in. So that's what helped me is I made a really, really detailed deck.
I think not enough can ever be said about just go out and start doing things versus trying to talk people into things they don't want to do. And it's kind of two things, I think. One is they can actually see what you want to do versus you talking to them and them not really listening. But also, it suggests that this is the kind of person that's passionate about whatever this thing is because they just went out at their own time and expense and took care of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing I did too, this seems funny, but at every phase of the film, there was a director's Wikipedia that I would just read over and over and over. And as I was selling it, there was a point I lost faith and I would just read Kevin Smith's Wikipedia over and over and look at Kevin Smith interviews because I was very inspired by how he was able to make Clerks by dropping out of film school and using that money.
I just watched the trailer, which looked very, very strong. I will watch the movie probably over the weekend. It's in theaters March 5th, but what does that mean anymore?
Well, Cuomo's opened up theaters in New York starting March 5th, so it's kind of a beautiful thing. We kind of timed it well.
Imagine this will play well in New York. It's set in New York. It's very New York. Can you talk about where you found Taylor, the lead actor? He's an unknown. He has one credit on IMDb. It's this movie. I'm curious how you cast him, how you found him, how you worked with him.
I found him on my rec league basketball team. I was just shooting around in the gym one day, and he came in, and we needed an extra guy. And I saw this kid in warm-ups, and I'm 39, but I still start on my team. But I saw him, and I was like, yo, you're like 26 years old. You're pretty good at basketball. Take my spot in the starting lineup. And he was like, no, like the team's winning with you. I'm just here as an alternate. Like, no, that would be not cool. And I said, no, start. And being very Asian, it became two guys just like bowing. No, you, please. No, sir, you.
Deferring.
Deferring. And he just would not start. And I said, that's a nice guy. And then I found out after a couple of weeks playing with him, he was a yakitori cook. He cooked at a yakitori restaurant. I said, would you like to cook the Crazy Rich Asians DVD premiere release with me? And he said, I'd love to. I never got to do anything like that. So he cooked with me. Christmas, we cooked another event. My mom was there. My mom met him and said, hey, Eddie, do you notice every time you tell him how to do something, he does it exactly how you told him? And he shows you a sample and then does it very diligently all the way through. She said, you should hang on to him. He's a very good guy. He looks up to you and he really feels like there's something to learn from you. I said, all right. So for Christmas, I called him and I said, would you like to be in the entertainment business? And he started laughing. He goes, what do you mean? And then I started laughing because I felt like some attorney on the other line, like, would you like to be in the business, kid? You know? And he said to me, I have no idea what that means, but I would love to do anything or something else besides what I'm doing. So he became my assistant. And in the back of my mind the whole time, I knew that it would be very tough to cast this role because the pool of Asian American male actors, it's just shallow. We're not encouraged to act. We're not encouraged to participate in the arts. And it takes many years for things to catch up. So when you need 18 to 26-year-old Asian American male that can also play basketball, I just knew that actor was probably non-existent.
And basketball convincingly too. I mean, like you can't have someone, cutting around. You can't cut around that.
Exactly. He's the all-time leading scorer at Alameda High School. And even that, I was like, yeah. And I was like, forget acting. There's just very few Asian basketball players at this level, at this age. So I never told the studio because they already were nervous about making an Asian American male coming of age teen basketball film. They're like, this is psychotic. Mm-hmm. I just kept telling them, no, there's stars we can cast. And I'd like point out other Asian celebrity male actors. Oh, this guy or that guy. No intention of casting any of them. In the back of my mind, I was like, I think it's going to be Taylor. So, we had to go through the casting process to show them that we were going to do it the right way. We ended up trying somebody out and it was very quick to see he could not play basketball. He could not play the role. And one day we walked into the office during pre-pro and Taylor was carrying a backpack with all our stuff. And I said, hey, you're not my assistant today. Take my office. I'm going to put you on tape in 3 hours. And he was like, what are you fucking talking about? And I was like, you've been ready for this. You've seen everybody audition. You know the script inside out. You know the scenes. Just fucking do it. And he's like, you can't spring this on me. This is not fair. This is not a good work environment. He was like thinking about
hostile.
Hostile. He's like, this is a hostile work environment. It's like, I'm gonna call HR. And I was like, dude, you knew I was gonna ask you this at some point. Like I joked about it. And he's like, I knew you were gonna do this to me, but not today. And I was like, well, if you knew, it could be any day. You should have been prepared for today. You're gonna be on tape in 3 hours. I taped them. I sent it to the casting director. They were like, thank God you did this because we've been watching him on the side. Like, why isn't he on tape? And then we sent it to Focus and they saw it immediately. Everybody just knew it was him.
It's like the R. Lee Ermey Full Metal Jacket story almost. What
was that story?
Well, it was funny because I was talking about it because I did a podcast yesterday, Dave Rubin's podcast, and he's like, are you going to run for governor of California? And I said, no. But then I sort of realized I'm the one standing around going, here's what you need to do, and here's what we should be doing, and here's how to do it. And then eventually, like Arlie Ermy, who I guess was kind of he was the advisor. He was like the technical advisor, and I guess he was telling the actor who was supposed to be playing the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket, no, don't do it like that. Do it like this, you know? You know, and eventually, after saying "do it like this," I guess the director was
Stanley Kubrick.
Kubrick just went, well, why don't we just have the guy who knows how to do it? Why do we need the guy teaching the other guy to do it?
Genius, yeah.
But
Taylor
that's
was the
why
basketball coach.
That's why it's such a great role. Like it's
But it
why
launched an iconic career. That was him. That put him on the path to stardom.
What is yakitori cooking? I want to circle back to that.
Yakitori is like you put
Yakitori.
meat on a skewer. It's just basically you're barbecuing skewers over a flame.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
God.
Tasty meat.
Yeah. What's your specialty, Eddie?
I mean, I'm known for making the bows, but my specialty, I'm I make really good lion's head meatballs, which is like a braised Chinese meatball dish. I do that quite well. I can really barbecue. Growing up in like Florida, I was in trouble and just at home a lot and couldn't leave. So I just started practicing smoking ribs, smoking brisket, things like that. So I really make great barbecue and jerk chicken.
It's so funny. It's like the Asian version of he's out of school, he's on the streets, he's running with the gangs, except for you're smoking meats.
Yeah.
He's smoking. No.
Yeah, I was on probation for 3 years and I got tested all the time. So my parents were just saying, you're not leaving the house. And I got a smoker. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to experiment with this.
You're on probation for what?
There was a fight. I got jumped by like 16 dudes. And then I drove a car through the crowd and bumped one of them and then tried to escape the cops. So that
wow.
That'll do it.
We gotta.
But it was self-defense, self-defense. So I never did jail time. I just did probation.
Let's drill down on that story just a little bit. First off,
this has been in fresh off it's been in a book, so it's not
You couldn't handle 16 dudes without having to wuss out and get in the car?
No, I wasn't going to fight 16 dudes. One of them had a tire iron and he went to hit my friend. Basically, the guy was about to hit my friend with a tire iron, so I drove the car at him.
Now, were these high school guys, rival groups? Like, how did this work?
College kids. Me and my buddies were the ones, we were just selling, we're just your college drug dealers, weed, pills, whatever. And then we were not part of these fraternities. We would just go and sell stuff. Mm-hmm. And they didn't really like it because we were kind of like townies. We were like from Orlando, you know? And I was a student at the college, but none of my friends were. So they just didn't like that they had to buy from people that weren't like the college kids there. And we would fuck with them a little bit. So it's a little like that scene in Good Will Hunting, like how you like these apples, you know? So but they had a lot more dudes. It was 16 on 3 of us. So I had to use the Mitsubishi Montero.
I had a trooper. I had a Zuzu. Yeah, I had a trooper.
Model.
Yeah,
would be equally effective. A little taller, that vehicle.
Yeah, good for running
harder
over
edges.
Good for running over frat guys. That's funny. I had a friend of mine get in a fight with another guy on PCH, and my friend beat the guy up, and the guy got into his car and he ran over my friend.
Oh my God!
But he didn't
that's unfair.
Didn't get into trouble. Yeah,
that's
I know.
Unfair. Also for the record, the guy that got bumped, he didn't even have to go to the hospital. He was okay.
Oh, my friend had internal bleeding and spent like 2 weeks in the hospital, and they still never went after the guy. So you got put on probation. And that meant you had to kind of stay at home?
Yeah, I went to school, but my PO would surprise me and just show up at my parents' house and be like, hey, where you at? And so after a couple times of like, where you at? And missing an appointment, she just told me, she's like, look, you're a good kid. I know you go to school. This isn't your life. Like, just follow the rules. You'll be okay. You'll make it out of here. you may even get your time decreased. So I just listened to her. She was a really good PO. To be honest, I really enjoyed that PO. She was cool.
And then while at home, that's when the love affair with the meats and smoking meats and barbecue began?
Yeah. And I would I had a canoe. I would go fish. I would smoke meat. I'd go to school and read. That was it, you know.
And when did you come out? Where'd you go? Then did you come out to L.A. from there?
I went to New York.
Oh, New York.
I was in Orlando at the time, and then I went to New York, and that's where I really became a man and felt like I could be me. You know, in Orlando, it was a very, very kind of like monolithic culture. It's Florida, so you know, different type of different weird.
And what'd you work doing when you went to New York?
I went up there for law school, and then in law school, I started selling T-shirts. And I first, do you remember when Sean Green got traded from the Dodgers to the Mets? Yeah, he got traded the weekend of Yom Kippur.
The only thing about Sean Green I remember is I was sitting in the lobby of the studio I'm in right now, and some 40-year-old guy in shorts and flip-flops and a T-shirt comes walking down the hall next to Dr. Drew, and Dr. Drew goes, "Hey, Adam, you remember this guy, right?" And I go, "No, sorry, whoever you are, but this is uncomfortable, but no, I do not remember you." And Drew's like, "It's Sean Green." And I'm like, the Dodgers first baseman from 19 years ago, who
this wasn't on the tip of your tongue.
Never met. We met him during the. Remember, we did the Celebrity All-Star game in '99, and he came out and said hi. I was like, "Yeah, he was in a Dodgers uniform, Drew." Okay,
Shit,
you don't remember?
It has actually been 16 years since he was the Dodgers first baseman. 16 years. He got traded in 05, but
did he?
He went to New York, and then me and my buddy. You know, because we were at a yeshiva school. I went to a yeshiva law school, and me and my friend were like, "These will make Yom Kippur T-shirts." So we made Yom Kippur T-shirts.
Wait, I'm sorry. Before we go any further, being a Jew who did not attend yeshiva school, can we please talk about that for a second?
Yeah, it was funny. Well, because it keeps going back to the chart. I had good grades. I did well on the LSAT, but I had a charge. I had to check I was a felon. And every school I applied to was like, oh, geez. You know, like I kept not being able to get into a school that I probably deserved to get in because of behavior.
Right.
So it was like I was getting into Seton Hall and stuff like that. But there's one school, Cardozo Yeshiva, which is a top 25 law school, where it's a little easier to get in because most people don't want to go to the yeshiva school.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is prime real estate. It's in the East Village on 12th and 5th. I mean, seems nice to me. I visited. I loved the school. I loved the people. So I attended Yeshiva U.
When it came to attending a yeshiva school, were you required or encouraged to do things that Orthodox Jews do?
Yeah.
I mean, what was it like?
I mean, I ate a lot of kosher pizza, like a whole lot of kosher pizza.
So cheeseless pizza or pizza with no meat on it?
Yeah. And it was funny. Obviously, like the first day I was there, this kid named Andy saw me like eating alone in the lounge, and he goes, "Hey," you know, and he befriended me, and you know, we became kind of friends. And then about 5 minutes into being friends, he's like, "So I got to ask, Israel or Palestine?" I was like, "Bro."
Wow. Eddie just seized up there for a second.
He was really fired up.
I don't know if it's a physical thing or a technical thing, but yeah. And
crazy.
Sean Green was one of the few Jews in the league.
I do know this story. Who wouldn't play on high holidays, right?
Some version of that. Yeah, it sounds familiar. So that's where you get the yeshiva Sean Green connection. All right, Eddie, we're going to reboot Eddie. What I think we should do is just take a break and then come back and do the news, and we'll hopefully get Eddie hooked up with us right after this.
Give me the news with Grad, news with Gina Grad, breaking viral, weird crime, protest, politics. Give me news with Gina Grad, stuff they saw on TMZ, Joe Biden, Kamala. Need news with Gina Grad.
The with Gina Grad.
So we've talked about Tiger. We've talked about Tin Horn Flats. Let's move on to another court case. Bruce Springsteen. He did plead guilty in his virtual hearing in Newark, New Jersey, for consuming alcohol in a closed area. But the charges of the DWI and reckless driving were dismissed. This all stems from the arrest last November in Gateway National Recreation Area in New Jersey when Bruce was offered a tequila shot from a fan who recognized him on a motorcycle, and he took it because he's a cool guy. He's agreed to paying a fine of around $500. Forget the whole thing. And remember, this news of his arrest broke earlier this month after the big Jeep commercial for the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And Jeep immediately pulled the spot off social media while this court case was pending.
This is a nothing burger. And I think this is kind of the problem with the new world order we're living in, which is if you ask somebody 3 years from now, they'll just go, yeah, Bruce Springsteen, he got that DUI.
Right.
Back then, like the real story of some fan wanting to take a picture and offering him a shot of tequila on his motorcycle. And it's like, this is a zero burger.
Right. He blew a .02. Like, why, how could they have ever given him a ticket or anything for DWI?
There is a problem with the law, which is, here's this thing we decided and we're moving forward.
Right.
And much like Tin Horn Flats or the mayor of Oakland who found the hoops hanging in the parks. Like, well, we found this thing and now we're moving forward. And then you go, yeah, but it's not what you thought it was. And they go, all right, yeah, we're still moving forward.
Anyway.
I obviously can't speak for the law in New Jersey, but I know there's laws in California where if you have an open container in your vehicle, or if you are in the back seat of your truck or car or whatever, and you have a sip of alcohol, that is against the law. There's some law against that, like consuming alcohol on the grounds of your vehicle. So I assume that Bruce, while on the motorcycle, had the shot of tequila. That is most likely illegal by the letter of the law.
Literally, with his feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Straddling his motorcycle with a shot is what you're saying.
I remember, like, I don't know, I guess they're like driver's education or something, you know, all the teenagers always
No,
ask
you're right.
The cop, like, you know, the hypothetical, what if you did this or what if you did that?
One was
like, yeah, what if you're drunk, but you just decide to like sleep in the back of your car and you put the keys somewhere else? Like, yeah, you're in your car drunk. And I was like, wow, that's technically illegal.
You could be onto something if the cop saw him literally like, hey guys, yeah, okay. And literally just sort of straddling his bike, hanging out. And that's where he took the shot. I don't know. The guy's a dick. So he paid about $500 and, it's all behind us now. But in
I'm going to do that thing that I hate when people do. That's nothing to him. That's nothing.
He's laughing all the way to the bank.
That's like you paying $5, Gina.
Like
that's nothing.
That's nothing.
Yeah, $5 is
to
nothing.
him.
Oh, yeah.
That's nothing.
To you or me, a lot.
That's $500. That's a lot of money.
Well, that's like you paying 5 cents.
It's like a week's work for a lot of people.
That's like someone paying you $5. It's not. He's
that way,
so
really?
rich. $500 is nothing to him. It's nothing to him.
So $500 to him is like somebody paying me?
To him.
To him. Wow.
Yeah, it'd be like someone paying you $5.
That's how wealthy he is.
It's nothing to him.
Well, given he
can
could
afford that. He could afford that.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Because it's nothing. $500 to him
Nothing.
is like nothing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Like a cup of coffee.
He's not going to be losing sleep at night when he's trying to sleep. Yeah, I'm Bruce Springsteen. I'm going to lay on bed and I'm going to count sheep because I'm out $500.
Not him.
He's not him. It's nothing to him. That's like you buying a ham sandwich.
Oh,
that $500 for him.
$4.
He's not going to be you $500. Like, okay, that's something else. But for him, you're not going to lose any sleep. You know what you're going to do? Miss a payment on his house? It's not going to affect his life.
Yeah, he's going to be just fine.
The $500 to him is like nothing. You go, honey, we can't go on vacation this year because I had to pay the sum of $500. He's not saying that. He's not going to say that.
No.
The idea that Bruce is making payments on his house.
And you know what? If he did say it, no one would believe him.
No, they think he was joking.
But he's not going to say that. You think he's like sitting around, like wringing his hands, like, oh boy, I'm out of $500. That's nothing to him. Listen, he could afford that.
Wouldn't even notice.
That's a day's work.
Yeah, you can find that in the couch cushions.
Do that. That's like a half a concert or something. I mean, it's not even maybe even till I'm forget about half a concert. It's probably like 4 songs.
I'm back.
Nothing. Oh, Eddie.
Oh,
sorry.
good.
I'm
Sorry,
glad-
guys.
Eddie, thank you.
I thought you had to come
My
back.
power went out.
I was doing a bit that wouldn't end, so I'm glad you came back. There was no end to it.
I'm sorry. The power keeps going out on my block this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's going on? There's no rolling blackouts or
Where are
heat,
you?
whatever. You're in LA,
I'm
right?
in mid-city.
Oh.
I knew it. That's because when I used to live there, that used to happen all the time. And they said, though I have not confirmed it, but the word on the street was there's so many people there with electric vehicles and they've never updated the grid for the charging station that Mid-City and Mid-Wilshire is effed in the A because they won't update the grid. So that could be
That makes sense because my neighbor's got Teslas. So
there you go. You
Blame
can
him or her.
Well, did you know that Bruce Springsteen doesn't roll over in bed for $500? It's a continuation of a joke that wouldn't end. All right, Gina, what else do we have for news?
Let's speaking of Bruce Springsteen, he and Obama are teaming up to do a podcast called Renegades Born in the USA. And it'll feature them chatting it up about issues, politics, the state of America, fatherhood, manhood. And they met at a presidential campaign thing in 2008. In 2016, Obama presented him with a Presidential Medal of Freedom. And now they're BFF, and they're going to do 8 episodes together.
I would predict nothing will be said, but in the most interesting tones and ways.
Compelling.
It'll be a super compelling zero burger. I find nothing insightful from either one of them, but they know how to say it.
Yeah, you'll be riveted.
Right. So it's kind of interesting. They're guys that are you're sort of Jordan Petersons of the world who have all sorts of crazy, interesting things to say in a super unattractive delivery system.
Yeah.
And then this will be a little experiment of nothing to say, but the best way to say it.
You'll be riveted for the entire hour and not find one soundbite.
Yeah, I think so, but we should listen.
Find out.
We should find out. Yes.
So I know this sounds like we just did this story, but unfortunately there's another one. Another planned gender reveal party turned deadly in New York. 28-year-old dad-to-be Christopher Peckney was building a device in his Liberty, New York home that was intended to explode in pinker smoke at his gender reveal party. The device unexpectedly detonated and killed him. His 27-year-old brother was standing nearby. He got shrapnel. He was treated at the hospital. And we just keep having this story.
Well, we have a leader in the clubhouse for definitely not a Jew.
Yeah,
it's true.
And I'm going to put this one on the wives. I'm going to say, if you wander into the garage a couple weeks before you're due to give birth and your husband is working on a trebuchet, and he explains, I'd like to take either a blue cannonball or a pink cannonball and launch it. You got to jump at that point. You jump in.
Yeah.
You go, I'm the one who's pregnant here.
Your father-to-be.
Your father-to-be. Put the tools down. Head back up to the house. We cannot have this nonsense.
If you're the wife, I can't imagine. I truly can't imagine what she's going through. And to tell people that you lost your husband in a gender reveal accident.
To tell the kid.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And also, whether the kid's a boy or a girl, they have to blame themselves. I mean, let's be honest. The whole reason we're talking about this is because you were born.
Real internalization.
Yeah, survivor's guilt. It's
Have
terrible.
any of you guys had gender reveal parties?
No. Oh, well, me, because I've never had a baby. But I've never attended one. No.
No, Brian has.
Well, no, I have there. Oh, let's throw this out to Eddie. Eddie, you weigh in on this. So the wife and I are pregnant.
Or better yet, gay in on it because it's
right.
so gay.
The wife was pregnant 4.5 years ago, and we wanted to be surprised by the gender, and so we had the doctor put it in an envelope, sealed, unbeknownst to us. We took it to an ice cream shop, frozen yogurt or whatever, and we handed it to the clerk and said, you know what? We don't know what's in here. It's going to say boy or girl. If it's a girl, make us a froyo with strawberries at the bottom. And if it's a boy, make us one with blueberries at the bottom. And we will be surprised. And we had our own little private moment, not a party, obviously. Didn't involve anyone else against their will. And we were delighted and surprised when we pulled out a strawberry.
But Brian, who's the joke on? You go through all that work and you still end up with a girl?
I mean, there's nothing I can do about that. That was.
Well,
that was
I'm
pretty
saying,
charming.
who's the joke on then?
Yeah, I guess if I really think about it.
Eddie understands me culturally.
Well, I have a funny situation. Is my parents were told I was going to be a girl, and then I came out with a dick, and my dad was like, "I won the championship," and then they were all surprised. So you can also just wait till you pop out, and there's a review.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but you gotta.
Brian's story is cute, and it's. I'm jealous because anytime there's a calorie burn for no reason, but I file this under you and your goofy socks. I'm really just jealous that you take the time.
Want to see what I'm wearing today?
Not actually.
What
no.
are you featuring?
This wasn't an invitation for. Okay, what socks? Your Argyle? What is
Argyle?
No, they're kind of a fun, like Saved by the Bell-ish 90s kind of stripes and dots.
I will file this under the couples who sit on the same side of the booth when they go out to eat. I talk a lot of shit, but I'm actually jealous.
Brian, are you
we don't
wearing
do that.
tied shoes in your own home?
I'm sorry, what? Yes, I
Are you
am.
wearing shoes?
I'm dressed like a goddamn man.
Wow.
With funny socks.
So, no, the story's fine. I'm just jealous. But the exploding stuff, I mean, what is going on? I mean, what are they using for the propellant and like
fertilizer? And
you're talking about shrapnel. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, this definitely seems to be taken over by men. You know, I think the woman who invented it, it was just the inside color of a cake. And I don't know, no women has, said, I would imagine said, no, it has to explode or it doesn't count. So
that's for social media. That's to be filmed from 25 feet away, so you can put it on your shit.
Kind of makes you wonder. Like, you think there's going to be PSAs 15 years from now? Like, you see all those PSAs. You watch the evening news, and they have all those veterans who lost their limbs, and they go, June 22nd. I was with my battalion when I stepped on and then they show you how the house has been modified and how then Mark Wahlberg comes on there and tells a story about raising money and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Wonder if we'll have to do that with gender reveal parties. Like guys will be standing there missing a limb. My daughter's 13 now. At the time, I lost my limb. She was 3 weeks away from being born. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Do you guys remember?
Wait, but did they film it? Did they film the explosion?
Well, no, he was still working on it.
Oh, he's still working on it.
Making it. Do you guys remember from the 80s, the kid who is climbing all the trees and he goes, I've been climbing trees all my life, but never one's near overhead lines because if you touch a line or your weight makes a branch touch a line, that electricity will go right through you. And that can hurt. It may even kill you. Nobody else?
No.
Oh.
I mean, it's like this must have just played in the Midwest because everybody knows word for word. Everyone knows that commercial, that PSA.
Yeah.
I just seen the one where they fry an egg and say it's your brain on drugs.
Right. A very popular one.
That's somebody famous. That she went on to be an actress.
Courtney Cox? Or am I back to Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah, that's Bruce Springsteen. This is younger.
It was Rachel Lee Cook.
She's all
Rachel Lee Cook. Yeah.
Rachel Lee Cook.
Wait, but there was like an old mustachioed guy with the "This is your brain on drugs."
No, that was a girl. That was a young girl.
Yeah, there's two. They probably did a few.
Sorry. She's the one that goes, and this is your brain on this, and she's smashing up the room. There was like a sequel.
I don't remember that one. I see.
I literally started saying to my son, here's how you know how bad these sayings are. I said to my son 2 nights ago, I was like, hey, you say nope to dope and ugh to drugs. And he's like, okay, retarded old man. Shut up. like it sounds so bad now. Like it doesn't even mean anything.
Yeah, there's no hope with dope.
Yeah.
I learned it from watching you.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was a good one. Cuomo, man. The other Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo, really turning up the heat on him right now. A former aide, and we talked about this a while back, but she has now written an article for Medium that details a lot of the experience. She's accusing him of sexually harassing her, including unwanted kissing and touching, says his top female staffers normalize this behavior. Lindsey Boylan, the former deputy secretary.
I know we hear a lot about this. How, and I'm asking because I want to know. How does one pull off unwanted kissing? I just don't. How does that work? You know what I mean?
I think he just planted one on her in his office.
Can it? But here's the thing about kissing. It's not a kind of thing where, if it's a kind of thing where you're in high school and it's a Pretty in Pink type situation. No, not Pretty in Pink. Sweet 16. What was the
16 Candles?
16 Candles. Like if it's a 16 Candles kind of situation, and it's like there goes the captain of the girls' volleyball team and cheerleading squad, the 6-foot-tall blonde that
Carolyn
would never,
Mumford.
Never look at me twice. Pass the hat. I bet $40 I could kiss her. And then you run up down the hall and you kiss her, and then she goes, ugh, get away. It's not Brian, and gets away from you. And then you collect your money. But if you're just trying to kind of force it on a colleague and they're not going for it.
That's the way you get.
Not Brian Bishop.
It just doesn't feel erotic to me,
Well, but this is a guy, like a lot of politicians, you think of Clinton, you think of Trump, whatever. It doesn't know, political line that just have that headspace of like, I deserve this. Everybody wants me. I'm the man in charge. And this is what you get.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt. It's also, like I said, every time one of these things comes up, they go, he was harassing her. He was following her around. He was making a lot of sexually suggestive comments. He wanted her to come back to his condo. And then you show a picture of the chick, and then all the guys go, yeah, I could see that. That's how we work.
She is a handsome woman. I'll give her that. She's a nice looking woman. He allegedly suggested they play strip poker on a flight in 2017. She said in another incident, this time in Cuomo's office, he kissed her on the lips. Boylan accused the governor of harassment last year, but didn't elaborate on the experience then. Now she wrote this article. Cuomo's office did not respond to Fox News' numerous requests for comment, but a spokesperson did say there's simply no truth to these claims.
Is he going to have to give his Emmy back? He got an Emmy, and he's been getting in a world of shit ever since then. I don't know if he's physically received it, but we are living in a world where we do take your shit back now. Like we got to take your honorary doctorate or your Heisman or your statue or whatever. We are taking things back these days. Yeah. He got the Emmy when he was beloved, and now he's got he's got the nursing home scandal, and now the Me Too thing. Like, we may need that Emmy back.
Yeah, and she even says the women in the office were all very complicit and like normalizing the behavior. Like one of the women sent her a picture of Cuomo's ex-girlfriend. It was like, you look like her, but the hotter version, or, you're definitely the better looking version. And so it's just kind of everybody. And now we're all supposed to be shocked that this happens.
Eddie, do you have an Emmy?
I don't have an Emmy, unfortunately.
Well, I think you deserve Governor Cuomo's Emmy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you deserve your own.
Timeshare situation.
Any Emmy in a storm. I mean, it's still one more Emmy than I got. Let's see if we can start a hashtag movement which get Eddie the Emmy. And as far as the Emmys go. It's like, hey, no skin off your nose. We're just going to you gave one to the wrong guy, fresh off the boat, delighted millions of people.
I'll accept the Cuomo Emmy, but I did want to say, I totally get your joke, Adam. And, I would also used to read articles like, oh, unwanted kissing, like mechanically, how does that happen? But I just have quite a few female friends that have told me the details of like their experiences, and none of them have gone public, but I mean, it's unconscionable the number of times women have to go through shit like this, where someone becomes their friend or their mentor and they get roped in, and it's like a full 6-month, year-long con. And then one day when you least expect it, dude closes the door and he's doing stuff. So
it's also got to be kind of insane as you describe it. So it's like, picture this version, picture, let's do the male version of this. Let's just say you have this powerful female. It's Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan. Sure. Okay. Well, let's just say I'm a young up-and-coming guy in Michigan. She calls me into her office and she's like, Adam, you got it. I like the cut of your jib. You're good. I like the way you think. You're smart. You got fresh ideas. I could use someone like you around here. And then you just go home and you're like, oh, the governor thinks I'm a genius. I'm a genius. And this thing, like Eddie was talking about, goes on for a while. And then at some point, I'm just standing in there and I got a ton of ideas about sanitation. And then she just grabs my balls and goes, you know how the game is played. I'd probably go along with it. I got to be honest. But I would feel like, oh, what about my ideas? That we had my whole.
It's about power. I mean, I had a drug and alcohol counselor at one point that I was mandated to see. And, she just stopped me after class one day and was like, hey, my roommate's out of town. If you want to talk more about your issues, because I had just opened up in this drug and alcohol class. And she's like, if you like to come over, my roommate's out of town, and I could open a bottle of wine or something. And I was like, in my head,
drug and alcohol,
motherfucker, this is a drug and alcohol class. Are you insane? And it actually really upset me, even though part of me was like, I mean, I would definitely hit. She was pretty attractive, but I was still just like, yo, this is an abuse of power. I'm mandated by law to come here. I just opened up about something that really bothered me. I'm trying to stop doing fucking drugs and alcohol, and you're going to proposition me and then tell me you're going to open a bottle of wine. This is fucking crazy. And so it's, obviously even as a man, it's much easier to just be like, go fuck yourself and walk away. I can't imagine what it's like for women, but I think people, there's that Stanford study about the prisoners. You put somebody in a position of power, they're going to do stuff like this.
What if she offered you a Heineken Zero with that? I mean, I don't want to parse it out. Maybe this is offensive, but what if she picked a near beer or Fresca or something? Yeah, no,
you're not being offensive. I think you being funny, you lightening up the mood. But no, for me, it was more just that you open up and you don't expect that return.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't speak for women, but for me, I'll speak in my position is. I think it's that you open up to somebody and you thought you were in one space and then they drag you into another space.
Eddie, you're absolutely right about that. And I will remind everyone that when I was in a car accident a few years ago and had to go to the chiropractor.
But quickly, I do want you to finish the story, but make it long, because Brian will not be able to add to this conversation about the time a young sheriff deputy pulled up next to his car and tried to hit on him, or the time he had to go in for physical therapy and the young, beautiful woman. I won't be able to add to this either. So
did I talk about that?
Take all of the time you need. Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I'll make it relatively short, but I was going to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor had a massage therapist, Deep Valley. And, I'd go and it would get a little weird. And he'd ask me weird questions, but whatever. He was, good massage therapist. And he kept asking me on my last massage therapy appointment if it was my last appointment. I was like, I mean, I think so. This is all my insurance pays for or whatever. I think this. He goes, okay, so this is your last one. I was like, yeah. When he was, and it was a little like slower and more caressy. And at the end of my massage, he kissed my back.
Ooh, that is super creepy. That is mega creepy.
Yep.
And
So-
unless he had some like vapor rub or something smeared onto his lips, I mean, there's a medicinal version of this. Was he trying to
the lotion in the basket?
Was he trying to do that cupping move where he puts his mouth on it and then sucks all the air out of his nose?
Yeah, you know what?
We're out of
When I
cups,
think back
babe.
about it, you're right. That was what it was. And it was like, I mean, it was passionate.
He gave you he juicy lipped your back.
This wasn't like your grandma, you know, who you're meeting for lunch. I mean, and that's when people are like, why don't you say anything? I personally was shocked. I was embarrassed. I didn't know who to tell. I knew I was never coming back. And I just walked out in a daze like, what the fuck just happened? And I didn't want to tell him. I was humiliated. I didn't know who to tell.
This, like, a lot of this stuff falls under, like, that bum was beating off next to the schoolyard. It's like, I just want to get the fuck out of there. Like, I was not going to tackle him or call the cops. Like, all you want to do is get the fuck out of there.
Yes, and I did. And this was a big dude, and I'm alone in a room with no shirt on. And I'm like, okay. Thank you for your time. And then I went, you know, a couple weeks later, I called and I told the woman who picked up the phone, and I wrote a colorful Yelp review. But otherwise, you do just want to get the
find that
fuck.
Yelp review.
You just want to get the fuck out of there. I was just like, it's weird how. I mean, I'm using the word just because, you know, I am the victim in that situation. I'm certainly not the perpetrator, but how you just feel so embarrassed and gross. I
don't want to say it's your fault, Gina, but
for taking my shirt off at a chiropractor
show up, you get
massage.
naked in some dude's office, number one.
Yes, that is
number
what happened.
two, we all know the answer when the creepy chiropractor says, is this your last time? You always go second to last, penultimate.
I didn't see. I was a rookie mistake on my part.
Got one more punch, one more hole to punch in my sandwich car. So this is the second. Don't ever say last, because when that's go for broke.
That's on
time.
me.
It
was, and it is.
You were asking for it at that point.
I was asking for it.
You should have
Thank
lied
you.
to the man.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. What else?
Reminds me of one-time physical therapy.
Somebody put Brian's foot in his mouth.
You know what it is weird, though? You know, it's weird. I think there is something that scrambles a dude's brain, because you're like, I don't know about your physical therapist, but Cuomo, you know, he's probably thinking, I'm a mayor, I'm the governor, like I'm in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe she's hot for me.
Yeah.
And
let me open the door to that.
And we've all had that situation when you've been dating or whatever. At some point, like after you get intimate or after, you know, it's clear that you like each other and it becomes physical or something. The girl always says that story because it's always like, we worked together for 6 months and still go, I always liked you. I didn't know why you didn't even notice. You didn't even notice I liked you. And then you go, you did? And they go, remember that time they were asking like for partners on an assignment and I kept saying it'd be good. And I was like, I didn't know. And then you start walking around going, who else likes me?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe this assistant to the gubernatorial, maybe she likes me. Maybe the chick with the bad back, maybe everyone likes me, and I just don't know it. I didn't know she liked me, and I just banged her 10 minutes ago. Like I think there's I think because that conversation is always had, right? Like, because inevitably you worked with or were around. I mean, if you pick up the person at a bar, that's one thing, but it's always somebody's a friend of a friend.
You know how I met Andy, right? we worked
He was
together.
your chiropractor, right?
Yeah, he was my chiropractor. We worked together for years, and I was always, like he'd come in and my heart would get a little aflutter, and I was with somebody and he was with somebody and he kind of felt that way, and we never talked about it. It never came up, just professional, just friends, but I always get kind of excited, when I saw him, and years later we're engaged and, would like to get married at some point with the COVID and all the mishigas, but that's how we met.
Right. And at some point, you gave him the speech about, I liked you. I didn't think you liked me, but I noticed
Correct.
you. And then he's a dude, and the dudes are like, I didn't know. Oh, come on. It was obvious. And then
you were there.
And the guy's like, I didn't know. Well, now Andy's all full of his fucking self. He's out of the house, and he's just walking down the street, passing people. Like, I bet that one likes me too. Why wouldn't they? Gina did.
I hate this story.
Well, it's again, whether it's getting naked in front of a stranger in
That's
a
what I
remote
did.
office
Yeah,
or
that was
telling
amazing.
Andy you always liked him, you brought it on yourself.
Thank you for clearing this up. I'd been very confused.
I should speak it to corporate America. You know what I mean? I
Speak
should.
of their wedding.
The Association of Chiropractic Medicine.
That's right.
Yes.
You may be
Gina.
staring at a hot L5, L7 vertebrae, but under no circumstances should you juicy lip it.
That's right.
Don't put her vertebrae in your mouth.
Well, before we completely get off the subject, unless you'd like me to
No,
tease
go
it.
ahead. Go ahead.
There's another actor who's in trouble with the law again, and it's not a name we have heard in, I don't know, 20 years?
Eddie Huang.
Maybe 25 years? You'll know him when I say him, but I don't think you'd guess it. I'm just going to tell you. Gerard Depardieu.
Oh yeah,
He's French. He
happened to
gets a
him?
pass.
he gets a cultural pass.
He was in the Tiger movie, the fucking Richard Parker, the Life of Pi.
He was?
He was the
I didn't see
chef,
it.
wasn't he?
I didn't see it.
Oh.
I didn't know. I thought he was just in Green Card
Carry on.
25 years ago. So he had got busted now for allegedly raping a young actress 3 years ago, according to.
Well, Brian says it's okay, even funny, because he happened to be born in France.
Right. So it's fine.
I want to walk that back.
He's 72, by the way. Or he is. So he was 69 then.
Pounds.
Yeah, he was.
His rap sheet has other offenses, by the way. In 2011, he was arrested for urinating in the aisle of a plane midair because the restroom was occupied. And
Wait a
and it
minute.
turns
Who? I haven't seen. I saw a recent picture. Who is fatter, him or Russell Crowe? Because I feel like this is a
I saw
Hall
Russell
of
Crowe in
Champions.
Unhinged. And I think he had a fake belly on. I'm going to say right now, Gerard Depardieu is a little heavier.
If you find a right now Russell Crowe, I think he was playing tennis with his girlfriend. I saw on TMZ. Boy, you want to know why during those gender announcement parties? You want to know why you should hope it's a dude? Look no further than Russell Crowe and his blonde girlfriend playing tennis, and I think you'll realize we should be rooting for a Wang in that particular case, because there's quite a chasm in age and in the aesthetic department.
Got it.
Max Apat will find. I think it was a TMZ.
Yeah, I'm
story.
we're loading it up right now.
I saw. All right, let me hit Geico here before we find that picture. Do you rent your home? Will you do one or the other? How about you take your automotive policy and you bundle it up with Geico? Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners and renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing because you got so much to do already. So go to geico.com, get a quote, see just how much you could save when you bundle at Geico. That is geico.com.
Whoa.
That's Russell Crowe?
That's Santa Claus.
Wait till you see Russell with his blonde lady friend. They're like
dear.
standing up and playing tennis, although I'm not sure how it can.
I take back what I said about I think he was wearing a fake belly and Unhinged. That was his belly.
I think he earned that belly.
Wow.
That's Russell Crowe?
Yeah, I don't know why. It was a couple days old. And it was just pictures of him playing tennis.
That's 30 odd foot of grunt.
With his with his girlfriend. Let's see if Max Pata finds it.
I'm still might go with Gerard unless I
This isn't the
I
one
like
I'm
this
thinking
Russell
of,
Crowe. All right, he looks athletic here.
but yeah, there's another.
It's probably the angle, but I mean, a lot of these pictures, he looks more like John Goodman.
We got to see the side. If I'll find the one where he looks more like what I'm talking about, that'll help. You got to catch him from the side, because from the side, I mean, that guy. But I don't know how old his girlfriend is. She's got to be like in her 30s or something. Anyway.
Well, having just watched Greenland, is Gerard Butler the new Russell Crowe in terms of look and?
Yeah, I guess he could be. Now he's doing quality
Because Russell
movies.
Crowe is like an accomplished actor, and Gerard Butler.
Let's forget A Beautiful Mind. I'm just saying aesthetically. Oh wow!
Still not the ones where they were playing tennis, but maybe that's not on the TMZ, whatever. But he's a lot of dude.
She's
and
30.
She's 30, and he's a big boy.
Oh boy!
Wow.
All right. Let me see. Eddie, let's get the plug out here. Boogie's the name of the movie. It's in theaters March 5th. Maybe not if you're in Los Angeles, sadly, but if you're And you can shoot Eddie a tweet and Instagram at Eddie. I'm just going to spell it out for you. Huang is where you would go for that, Huang. Hey, Eddie, thanks, man.
Thank you. I always love doing this show, man. A lot of fun, guys.
Appreciate it. Oklahoma City. I think I already gave plugs, or maybe I didn't. I don't know.
Let's give them again. Yeah, tomorrow.
Oklahoma City
Saturday.
tomorrow night and Saturday, live pod there, and stand-up Kyle Dunnigan's going to join us. Reno's coming up, Los Angeles, Waukegan, Illinois, and go to adamcarolla.com for all the live dates. Until next time, it's Adam Carolla, for Eddie Huang, and Gina and Bald saying, mahalo.